जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचारिया जमुना तीरा वनचारिया जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचारिया जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा। जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की। जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishriki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopaha Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. This morning we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, entitled Creation of Fourth Order, Chapter 23, entitled Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home. This is text 20. Is the display on? Ativa Bhartu Vratadharma Nishtaya Sushrushaya Cha Arsha Deha Yatraya Na Avindata Artim Parikarshita Api Sa Preyahakara Sparshana Mana Nivriti Ativa Bhartur Vratadharma Nishtaya Ativa Bhartur Vratadharma Nishtaya Shushrusaya Charsha Deha Yatraya Shushrusaya Charsha Deha Yatraya Navinditartim Parikarshitapi Navinditartim Parikarshitarapi Sa Preyaskara Sparshanamana Nivrita Preyaskara Sparshanamana Nivrita Ativa Bhartur Vratadharma Nishtaya Shushtrushaya Charsha Deha Yatraya Navinditartim Parikarshitarapi Sa Preyaskara Sparshanamana Nivrita Ativa Bhartur Vratadharma Nishtaya शुश्रूषयाचार्षदेहयात्रया नाविन्दितार्तिं परिकर्षितापि सा प्रेयस्करस्पर्शनमाननिवृता. Please recite. अतीव भर्तुर्व्रतधर्मनिष्ठया शुश्रूषयाचार्षदेहयात्रया न विन्दतार्तिं परिकर्षितापि सा प्रेयस्करस्पर्शनमाननिवृता. अतीव भर्तुर्व्रतकर्मनिष्ठया शुश्रूषयाचार्षदेहयात्रया न विन्दतार्तिं परिकर्षितार्पिता प्रेयस्करस्पर्शनमाननिवृता. We will see word to word meaning. Ativa, very much. Bhartu, of the husband. Vrata dharma, vow to serve him. Nishtaya, by determination. Shushrushaya, by serving. Cha, also. Arsha, like the great saintly sages. Deha, body. Yatraya, living condition. Na, did not. Avindata, perceive. Artim, any difficulty. Parikarshita api, although transformed to become lean and thin. Sa, she. Preyahakara, very pleasing. Sparshana, touching. Mana, engaged. Nivriti, pleasure. श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन भगवान की, श्री श्री गौर निताय चंद्र भगवान की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, Queen Arshi followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like the great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves, and because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet, because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. So, please recite the translation in response. Although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, Queen Archi followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves, and because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. Purport. The words Bhartur Varta Dharma Nishtaya indicate that a woman's duty or religious principle is to serve her husband in all conditions. In Vedic civilization, a man is taught from the beginning of his life to become a brahmachari, then an ideal grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyasi, and the wife is taught just to follow the husband strictly in all conditions of life. After the period of brahmacharya, a man accepts a householder's life, and a woman is also taught by her parents to be a chaste wife. Thus, when a girl and boy are united, both are trained for a life dedicated to higher purpose. The boy is trained to execute his duty in accordance with the higher purpose of life, and the girl is trained to follow him. The chaste wife's duty is to keep her husband pleased in household life in all respects, and when the husband retires from the family life, she is also to go to the forest and adopt the life of vanaprastha or vanavasi. At that time, the wife is to follow her husband and take care of him, just as she took care of him in household life. But when the husband takes the renounced order of life, namely sannyas, the wife is to return home and become a saintly woman, setting an example for her children and daughter-in-law, and showing them how to live a life of austerity. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his wife Vishnu Priya Devi, although only 16 years old, also took the vow of austerity due to her husband's leaving home. She chanted her beads, and after finishing one round, she collected 1 grain of rice. In this way, as many rounds she chanted, she would receive the same number of rice grains and then cook them and so take prasad. This is called austerity. Even today in India, widows or women whose husbands have taken sannyas follow the principle of austerity even though they live with their children. Prithu Maharaja's wife, Archi, was steadily determined to execute the duty of a wife, and while her husband was in forest, she followed him in eating only fruits and leaves and lying down on the ground. She was a woman, since a woman's body is considerably more delicate than a man's, Queen Archi became very frail and thin. Parikarshita. When one engages in austerity, his body generally becomes lean and thin. Becoming fat is not a very good qualification in spiritual life, because a person who is engaged in spiritual life must reduce the comforts of the body, namely eating, sleeping and mating, to a minimum. Although Queen Archi became very thin from living in the forest according to the regulative principle, she was not unhappy, for she was enjoying the honor of serving her great husband. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Saparijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So first of all, I seek blessings from all the assembled devotees, in particular His Grace Anandmay Prabhu, so that I can speak something on this topic where there is lot of instructions, guidelines for grahasthas and wives. So me being a very neophyte grahastha, may not be very realized in all these subject matters. And but anyways, just because we have to discuss, and I got this opportunity as service, so whatever I speak Please accept it as my service to everyone. So, so in this particular section, we are seeing how Queen Archie followed the path of the husband. So generally, those who are Rajkumaris, Kanyas of kings, they live very, elated life before they get married. So when they get married to a husband, she has lot of fears that the way my father took care of me, will my husband take care. And similarly, the queen's father also is very concerned that my daughter had been living a very, being taken care. Whether the husband also will take care like that or not. So in the Ramayana we see when Mother Sita got married to Lord Ramachandra, all these emotions are described by Valmiki. The Mother Sita's mother, forgot her name, Sunaina, she also expresses that concern that Mother Sita grew up in a very, well taken care. So what will happen after she gets married? So anyways, whether you are a wife of a king or whether you are a wife of a very normal person, the greatness of the wife lies when she is ready to follow a husband who is in very good spiritual standing. So that is the greatness of the wife, if she is able to follow a husband who is in very good standing in Krishna consciousness. So then what happens? The pains of following the husband, external pains of following that husband, becomes pleasure. Like in the last line it says, she became frail and thin. No woman would be liking that to look frail and thin. Thin is okay, but frail and thin is a little difficult situation. Like we see when Kardab Muni got married to Devahuti, and Kardab Muni, even after got married to Devahuti, Kardab Muni was continuing his austerities, as if he did not got married only. And Devahuti did not had many questions to her husband. She just served her husband so much. It is described that she also became frail, and there was a kind of a body dust covering her body. That meaning that she did not even took bath nicely. Her hairs got matted. Means she did not even combed her hair. So tell me, which woman in this world will serve her husband so much that she forgets her own beautification? Very difficult. So Bhagavatam gives that kind of examples. So to follow her husband in the difficulties, Devahuti also had great pleasure that I am serving a great husband. So here Archie just followed her husband. So Bhagavatam or Sanatan Dharma gives a set of purification for everyone. Every category of person, like if you are a Brahmana, if you do certain things, you will get purified or elevated, whatever. Similarly a Kshatriya, similarly a Vaishya, similarly a Shudra, similarly Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. And similarly Bhagavatam speaks about women also. So now when these topics are discussed, sometimes unnecessarily people take it out of context and make a social issue out of it, saying that why women are treated differently in the society of Krishna consciousness. And sometimes there is unnecessarily so much of discussion about why certain things are different for man and woman. Of course, the basic thing is the man's psychophysical nature is different, women's psychophysical nature is different. Like here it is described, the women are not accustomed to such austerities. Meaning what? Are the men accustomed? Yes, men are accustomed. When man was born, he generally goes to Gurukul. And in Gurukul, whatever he practiced, he sleeps on ground, he eats whatever Guru gives. Like generally Brahmachari does not come up with a menu saying that Monday I want this, Tuesday I want this. He says, whatever Guru gives us, we'll just eat it. In fact, he will go out and beg, bring and give it to Guru, and Guru or Guru Patni, whatever makes, they just eat. So man is trained to live in that austeritical situation, because in the end of the life he has to do that. But generally women are not forced to accept such austerities. Like, man is told that you have to take sannyas, you have to leave home. At the end of your life, you have to perform austerities. But women are generally not forced so much because they are not trained in that way. And their psychophysical nature is different. Their psychophysical nature is to take care of somebody. Either to take care of husband or to take care of children. So they are good at that. But unfortunately, sometimes in this modern scenario, women get the training that you also try to compete with your husband. If your husband is earning money, you also earn money. If your husband is doing such and such thing, you also do such and such thing. So by what happens is, by competing such a thing, the husband and wife don't go well together. But here, if the husband and wife go well together, what happens is both achieve Vaikuntha. You will see that Archie, Bhagavatam describes 3-4 chapters of glories of Prithu Maharaj. And they say that Archie followed Prithu Maharaj. So it's very simple. So Archie also went back to Godhead. It is not that Archie did not went back to Godhead. It's not that you need to have 3-4 chapters in Bhagavatam glorifying your devotional service, only then you go back to Godhead. No, it's not like that. So, so a wife who voluntarily accepts the hardship, why? Because not that she just wants to do austerities. It says Bhartur Vrata Dharma. Bhartur Vrata Dharma means, because my husband is performing austerities, I will also perform austerities. Like when Lord Ramachandra, after meeting Dasharatha and Kaikeyi, he got to know that I am going to forest. So Ramachandra thought, okay, I am the alone going to the forest. So there is a description that Mother Sita tells that if you are going to forest alone, wait for one more day. You perform my final rites and then go. Because I cannot live in a life of in a city or in palace where you are performing austerities. It is described sometimes that Lord Ramachandra's lotus feet were so very soft that when Mother Sita used to touch to seek blessings of Lord Ramachandra, there used to be an impression that is created on Lord Ramachandra's body. So imagine if Lord Ramachandra's body was so soft, how much soft might be the Mother Sita's body. And Mother Sita used to walk in the same way, the way Ramachandra used to walk. We all know when Lord Ramachandra accepted Vanavasa, Pandavas also accepted Vanavasa, Draupadi also followed them. Ramachandra also accepted austerities, he went to forest, Mother Sita also followed. Now, after a certain while, Lord Ramachandra's footwear were taken back by Bharata. So now that Lord Ramachandra is not wearing footwear, Mother Sita also did not wear footwear. Right? And because Lord Ramachandra is not wearing footwear, Lakshmana also did not wear footwear. So anyways, here what I am telling is Bhartur Vrata Dharma. Bhartur Vrata Dharma means whatever austerities my husband is undergoing, I will also undergo. So that was Mother Sita. Now there is another example also. Now in this, I could just relate this example with this word called Sushrushaya. Prabhupada translates it as by serving, but it also can mean that Sushrushaya means by hearing and serving. Shushru or means hearing and serving, or accepting the orders of a husband. Like when we were discussing this Ramayana, one can think about this angle also. What about Lakshmana then? Ramachandra was given a verdict that you should go to forest. Mother Sita followed. So Lakshmana followed. So why did the wife of Lakshmana did not follow? You will never see in Ramayana that wife of Lakshmana, if I am not wrong, Urmila. Right? Her name was Urmila. She did not follow Lakshmana. So is it a wrong example that is Lakshmana's Urmila setting? No. So there is a description, there is a conversation between Lakshmana and Urmila when Lakshmana was leaving. So Urmila said, because Mother Sita is coming, I will also come. Then Lakshmana said that Mother Sita is coming to serve Lord Ramachandra. So she said, I will come to serve you. He said, I am going to serve Lord Rama. So how can I accept somebody's service? I am going as a servant. So when I go as a servant, I cannot accept servant. Like, imagine you have a servant and the servant also has a servant. So it looks little different, especially when in a scenario where Lord Ramachandra is going austerities. So Lakshman said, you cannot serve me there because I cannot accept any service from you because I am 24 hours serving Lord Ramachandra. This is a special this thing that has been given to me. So then Urmila, although she lived in palace, she lived a very simple life. Then Bharat also went to, he did not go to forest, he lived in a Nandigram outside of Ayodhya, almost at the border of Ayodhya. So his wife also ate a similar way Bharata ate. So if you go more detail, we will see in either Valmiki Ramayana or Ramcharitmanas, the way Bharat was eating food, Urmila, her name was Mandavi. She also ate the same way Bharata ate. Similarly, Mother Sita also ate the way Lord Ramachandra ate. So the principle is that a wife also accepts the level of living in as much as husband is. So in that way, what happens? The harmony in household life remains. The purpose of harmony in the household life is to progress in Krishna consciousness. So that's what Varnashram system or Bhagavata Dharma teaches. Sometimes it is described that if a husband goes to an outer city, different city, is not at the home, the wife does not dress himself in a very beautiful way. Because wife dresses himself in a beautiful way only for her husband. If the husband is gone out station, she doesn't dress herself nicely. Normally she lives. And especially if the husband passes away, the wife lives a life of complete austerity, goes into some place, or they will just teach their children or grandchildren how to live a life of austerity. So Prabhupada is giving an example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the age of 24, he took sannyas. And of course, he left from there and he came to Shantipur, subsequently went to Jagannath Puri. And when Vishnu Priya Devi, she got to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas, she also took a great austerity. What she used to do, she used to chant one round. Prabhupada is telling, one round means it will take like 7-8 minutes. And then she will put 1 grain of rice. Then as many number of rounds you chant Hare Krishna, then she will put as many grain rice. And then at the end of the day she would cook and eat that. So imagine, even if you chant 22 hours, just like Haridas Thakur, you would be able to chant how many rounds? 192 rounds. Imagine in a day you can't eat more than 192 grains. How much? This much. 192 grains means this much. So this is the life of Vishnu Priya Devi. So the whole principle here, what is described is that if the wife simply follows the husband, she will also achieve the same destination as husband achieved by his austerities. And you will say somewhere else also, if the wife does not follow the husband, what happens? So now, although these pastimes have like so many lessons, main lessons, subsidiary lessons to be learned, but one thing what we can see from a different angle point of view is, at one point of time, Mother Sati, she got a desire that I will leave Lord Shiva and go and attend a function which my father is performing. So somewhere it is also described that when a woman gets married, her more attachment should be towards her husband, not towards her father. Although the father gave birth, the father does Kanyadana. So after you do Kanyadana, you can definitely relate with your father, definitely relate with your parental relatives. But the bigger attachment for a woman after she gets married should be towards her husband and the new family. So now somebody may say, Sati's father, she went to Sati's father, Sati was taken care by her father. What is wrong in going to Sati, father's place? No, nothing wrong. But the wrong is that against the instruction of Lord Shiva you go. So then we see the outcome will be a little different than what is desired. So it is best in all scenarios that a wife simply follows husband in a very simple way. That does not mean that wife's position is, lowered by following the husband. In fact, Bhagavatam says those wives are very great who follow their husband. But unfortunately, in modern scenario, what happens is the training of mind is different. Most of the people, like sometimes when we are living in this kind of a scenario of modern civilization, women think that or sometimes the training is given that a housewife does nothing. The training is given like the housewife does nothing, but rather it is different scenario. A housewife does everything to maintain a house. So in Bhagavatam also, after Lord Ramachandra came back to Ayodhya and when Mother Sita was staying, it is described that Mother Sita was the first lady to get up in Ayodhya and the last lady to sleep. First lady to get up in Ayodhya was Mother Sita. The last lady to sleep was Mother Sita. So she used to do so much of the work to maintain the kingdom, to take care of husband, to take care of mother-in-law, to take care of so many things. So it is a wrong idea that is being given to this current day civilization that a housewife does nothing. It's a very wrong idea that has been propagated. It is not according to Bhagavatam or Sanatana Dharma. So here now I will just read out few paragraphs, few verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, 11th chapter, 25th verse. Is it 25th verse? 25th also is good. 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, like that. So after giving good instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj, Narada Muni is speaking about instructions for women. This is 25th verse. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed towards husband, and to be equally well disposed towards husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the four principles to be followed by women described as chaste. So generally what happens when a man and woman get married, and for a woman to love her husband is quite easy, but to love husband's mother becomes very difficult. Right? To love my husband's brothers, love in the sense have a good relation, it becomes very difficult. She will say, I will love only husband. But you see, the austerity for a woman is to be well equally disposed towards husband's relatives and friends. Follow the vows of husband. If the husband takes a particular vow, we also follow that vow. In general, not an exceptional case, in general. Text 26-27. A chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband. Always wearing clean and attractive garments, she should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids so that the entire house is always pure and clean. She should collect the household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with incense and flowers, and must be ready to execute the desires of her husband. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking in sweet words. So this is also one of the very important part of woman's life. She should speak very sweet words. That is the quality which is being woman endowed with, speaking sweet words. I think if I am not wrong, Chanakya Pandit says this, that a husband can leave the house and go away if the wife is not Priyavadini. Priyavadini means speaks very sweet words. Bharyacha apriyavadini. He can leave the house if the wife is speaking unpleasant words. The husband can leave the house and go. So this is one of the duty of the wife, that you speak very pleasingly. Let's go ahead. Yeah. A chaste woman should engage in the service of the husband with love according to time and circumstances. A chaste woman should not be greedy but satisfied in all circumstances. Should be very expert in handling household affairs. And should be fully conversant with religious principles. So the woman expertise is to handle household affairs very nicely. Whether that be matter of cooking, whether that be matter of cleaning, whether that be matter of taking care of children, like that. She, again see, in Bhagavatam, the next verse again it says, she should speak pleasingly and truthfully, and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of husband who is not fallen. So whenever these verses are spoken, Sometimes the man becomes very happy that I know we got very good instructions for our wife now. They will tell all wife, you also come for Bhagavatam, good instructions for us. At the same time, we should understand that the husband's purification is different. Husband's purification is that you follow strict vows, you follow spiritual path, use your intelligence in following your guru's instructions. So that's why, although Narad Muni gave good instructions to the wife, he at the end puts a clause, husband who is not fallen. So a fallen husband means what? In the pursuit of material happiness, one who gives up spiritual practices, he is fallen man. Generally, man, when he is given a good training in Brahmacharya ashram, he is given very clear understanding. The goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, after having become Grahastha, most of the people generally what they feel, that now for me material life is more important than spiritual life. Suddenly, somehow that idea creeps in. When somebody becomes Grahastha, he gets this idea that my material life is more important than spiritual life. Whereas in Brahmacharya ashram we are trained that your spiritual life is more important than material life. So a husband who is not fallen means somebody who is following a vrata dharma, following some spiritual practices, he continues to follow that. So there are very good instructions for husbands, man also, according to their psychophysical nature, how to serve a guru, how to be truthful, how to be austere, how to cooperate amongst various people, like that. So there are good instructions for husband, there is good instructions for women. Now what happens in modern scenario, everything is topsy-turvy. Neither the man is of very good character, neither the woman is interested in showing exceptional womanly character. So then whatever we do is just a cover-up or a patchwork of the whole scenario. So now in the attempt to do various different things, we sometimes tend to go very away from Bhagavad Dharma. Whereas when we are preaching Bhagavatam, there should be an attempt to establish Varnashram system, Bhagavata Dharma system in a very systematic manner. So in that systematic manner, everyone has their own contribution. Grahastha has its own contribution, Vanaprastha has its own contribution, Sannyasis have their contribution, and everyone, if our society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, makes a collective effort, the Grahasthas, Brahmacharis, Vanaprastha, Sannyasis, then we can set up a very ideal example in the whole modern scenario that how a perfect Varnashram system is possible. Like that. So a lot of instructions now here. It all depends on how we accept it and follow. Somebody who has more realizations can speak with more depth. But because very new to Krishna consciousness and to my current ashram, I might not have spoken with more realization. Whatever little realization a person can have, he can share. So anyways, after few verses you will see that Archi performed the final rites of her husband. Quite different. Generally, in a Grahastha ashram, why a person is told that you should have children? Above all the good things about having children, like man, woman get married, then there is a child and there is a certain kind of happiness that is exchanged between the father and mother with the child. And the child takes care of the father when he is old. All these are good things about having children. But the ultimate prime thing about having a son is that he does final rites. Because that is something which only he can do. So you will see many times a great king does not have a son, he will, more than he will fearing about how the kingdom will be taken care, he will think that who will do my final rites, like that. So that is one of the prime factor why we have children. That is one reason. Anyways, I don't know, it's not described whether Prithu Maharaj had son or not. He had a son, but I don't know. Here because he left his body in the Vana, only Archi, 2 sons, yeah. Archi was next to her husband, so she performed the final rites and she also went back to Godhead. So that is a great advantage a wife has. You follow the husband, husband goes back to Godhead, you also will go back to Godhead. Simple. There are so many lessons to follow. Please forgive me if I am not as per what Bhagavad standard speaks. But in as much as I can practice, or in as much as been awarded to me by my superiors, I try to follow. So please forgive me if I have spoken beyond my realization. I just spoken because Bhagavatam speaks that, not that I am greatly realized person or something like that. So if anybody has any questions or anybody has any comments, you can please do so. Any questions? Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
You told the points about the man and woman. So, like we heard from this class that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is instruction giving for the both, for man also and for woman also. You told about the man, they have to follow the austerities, follow the spiritual vows. And for woman, you told that his austerities will be there to follow her husband. That will be there. So, and there are many examples are also giving in Bhagavatam, like you give the example. But if we see the current situation, it is looking good when we heard the Bhagavatam and we read these sentences. But when we see the current situation, Babaji, it is very difficult to follow this already. And this is mostly problem are coming because both are not get the spiritual training from the starting onwards. And men are already breaking four regulative principles. On top of that, woman is also asking that why we follow if man is not following properly. So due to that, we find out in our organization also, like in our acharyas also, when women leave the husband or women should want to become brahmacharini like that. In our organization or other organization also, they will allowing all these things that they can also become brahmachari and that. So I want to know from you that, Puji, that what is the right way to handle this situation, or will we allow them to also become like a saint?
See, Bhagavatam is given by Krishna. So Krishna has very carefully designed this Varnashram system. See, now we may try to do something different than what Krishna has ordered us to do, thinking that this is what is practical now, but it will not sustain. It will not sustain. The history is evident even in our organization also. Sometimes there were some places where brahmacharinis were allowed, and we have seen that there are other problems that has crept in because of that. So generally what happens in material scenario, in general I am telling, we try to solve a material situation with a material thing, the solution becomes a bigger problem than the existing problem. I am on with you because it is very difficult in this scenario. I am not telling that. But the solution should be Bhagavatam only. Just because something is difficult, if we try to adjust it, it will come back to us in a very bad way. In our organization also, in other organization also, you have seen that if we try to deal with a problem not according to Bhagavatam, not according to Varnashram system, more problems will come. So we may try that. It is not that I am not telling that we should not try, but we should understand that the main focus should be given to solve the problem at root cause. Okay, you are trying to give a stopgap solution, but the stopgap solution should not become the focus of our organization. Our focus of the organization is to cure the problem at the root. Bhagavatam says that a living entity's main problem is that he is Krishna Vimukha. So now the main problem, the root cause problem is that we have to make him Krishna conscious. We cannot have a stopgap solution thinking that should be our focus of our organization. Right? See, at some places in the West, Prabhupada had allowed women to live in a kind of an ashram. Not because Prabhupada or Bhagavatam gives us that situation where women should live like an ashram. Because in West, anyways, where women were living independently. It is not that women were living with their husband, and those kind of women, Prabhupada told, okay, leave your husband and come and stay in ashram. It's not like that. But anyways, that also did not sustain, because that is not the real Bhagavatam thing. So the whole idea is that everyone should be given a particular type of purificatory system as per psychophysical nature. So it's very difficult in this scenario. Even the whole organization is struggling. I am not telling about one person's. The whole organization is struggling. This is the material world. But the point I am trying to focus is that our focus of the organization is to cure the problem at the root. Not that there is one stopgap solution, we'll catch up with that stopgap solution and say that this is what our organization should offer to the people. I hope you understand what I'm getting. Any more questions or any comments? His Grace Anand Mahaprabhu would like to add something on this topic. So please forgive me if I have spoken beyond realization. I'm just repeating at the cost of repetition. Right? Thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.